And now we go to SmackDown on April the 5th because we're not going to, again, folks, please, I don't want to relive most of these moments. I'm going to make some observations. We're not going to blow by blow this whole shit because this is hours and hours of wrestling. But the SmackDown before, they're already in Philly. They're at the Wells Fargo Center now is what they call it. It's right next to the stadium there. And they were sold out with a small set. They announced 19,000 some. I don't know where I wrote it down, but it had to be close. I haven't seen crowds like that since the Attitude Era. And in, back in the 80s and the territory days where they didn't have the big sets. If you sold out, you sold out. The building was full. And this, it's looking incredible. And the video and production now that you've called my attention to it, even though I've been looking at it, I watch the breaks now, the in-betweens, the bumpers, the crowd shots, the drone shots. Because it's fucking awesome. They're doing art. Now,
it's a fresh way to feature pro wrestling. And you don't really get that too often. I mean, AEW in a lot of ways looks like the production from WCW. Kevin Dunn's production looked the same for years. This is actually a fresh perspective, using the usual things you need, but a fresh perspective of how to feature pro wrestling on TV. It's great.
Well, yeah, this is what's been happening to network television while we all been distracted with looking at the same shit, because everybody has been guilty of it for the last few years. Everybody goes for experienced wrestling people in production because of the unique nature of it, and the seat of the pants flying, you kind of got to know. And so you get people that have been doing wrestling forever, but that means you get people that have been doing wrestling forever. And now with this budget, again, with this company, they can get anybody. They can get the heavy equipment. They can get the fucking snazzy young savants at every position, audio and camera. And so anyway, who is not a young savant, in my opinion, Meek Mill narrated. They did the cold open for WrestleMania. They showed it on SmackDown. And he narrates it and then apparently raps over it or behind it, the video. Or was that him rapping? Was that him?
That was him.
Oh, boy.
It wasn't bad. It was a very well done video. And don't criticize him. No,
don't put words in my mouth.
Don't criticize him, considering what Lil Wayne performed.
Well,
WrestleMania.
We're going to get to Small Wayne here in a little while, but the video was art. I liked his narration. If the rapping was an example of his music, I'm glad I'm too old to be listening to this shit, because that left a lot to be desired. It was like somebody had fucking trapped a goddamn coyote in a trap. And it was begging, pleading howling at the moon, trying to get out. Anyway, so they had an amazing crowd. They're sold out there. They open up with the KO show with Randy Orton, where they bond over their mutual hatred of Logan Paul. But then Logan Paul appears on the screen. And it's a small screen way at the back of the building. And when you could hear him, you could tell a lot of people in the building couldn't even see this fucking screen. And then, of course, Steen has to make a goddamn wisecrack about it. Yeah, way on that tiny screen back there. Yeah, it's called being in a full building, Kevin. You've never experienced it before. It's fun, isn't it, when they don't cut half the fucking thing off for the entrance? But nevertheless, so I love Logan Paul. He's next door at the stadium with his own crew, and they're cutting back and forth, and he's cutting a promo, knocking Owens and Randy and everybody, and just the personality. Love the fucking guy. So then Orton and Owens realize that Logan Paul is next door. Well, he's just right next door, and they jump out of the ring and start running up the stairs through the stands, and then Austin Theory and Grayson Waller roll out from under the ring, confused, and run after him like they have missed their cue to jump the baby faces and kick the shit out of them. And now they're chasing after him, and we We go to the break, but when we come back from the break, before we move on, there's Orton and Owens outside in the parking lot in a golf cart riding to the stadium. And as soon as they are in the distance, you see Waller and Theory comedy running, trying to catch up with them. And with what's fixing to come up here shortly, are Waller and Theory, are they fixing to be AEW bound as free agents? Are they about done with them, you think, at this point?
No, I don't know why you say that.
Fuck.
They gave them the tag titles the next night.
I forgot. Well, they beat them on Friday night. See, I skipped that whole goddamn tag title fuck up on.
I forgot. You forgot that are they finishing them up? They gave them the tag titles the next night.
Well, they made them look like idiots and then beat the shit out of them and beat them the night before. So, okay. Well, I don't know. Maybe that's
they had a stroke, so they got to become head of talent relations.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, hey, we want these guys to quit. Fuck it. Tell them we're going to make them the tag team champions. That'll run them off. Anyway, then they did the Andre the Giant Battle Royal on SmackDown with all the jobbers in the ring, and Bronson Reed was entering, and then Ricochet and Almost got an entrance. Almost is back because it's a Battle Royal. And Bronson Reed won it. You know what I would do with Ricochet, just real briefly? Because now that this company...
Please be nice.
No, I'm trying to be nice. Now, you're going to apologize to me when you hear what I'm going to say. What I would do with Ricochet, since this company has more money than the federal government now, I would figure out some kind of gimmick. The superhero gimmick for the kids, the Tiger Mask flavor of things. When Tiger Mask, before he was a wrestler, he was a comic strip character over there. And I would get the Comet, I don't know, the fucking whatever the fuck, not the Blue Blazer. And I would tell Ricochet, do the Mr. Wrestling 2 deal. Johnny Walker got hurt. Professor Tanaka broke his neck. He had to retire. A year later, Mr. Wrestling 2 shows up. Pay him to stay home for a year, but train, stay in shape, and work on this gimmick and do fucking vignettes or whatever and go the whole way with it. Make it a cool, Mil Mascaras, whatever the fuck. But make it goddamn, go all the way with that. But he's a great talent, but he looks like just that face and he can't fucking talk. Give him a beautiful outfit with a beautiful goddamn mask and a goddamn, make him a kid superhero, and he never has to fucking speak, and make him a top guy that way, and run off all the other small guys that do anything remotely like him, so he's special because he does it better than them. And that's the way you could make some. Now, was that being not nice to Ricochet?
Well, I don't think it would work now, but I think it would have worked when they first brought him in. He has noticeable tattoos. You can't do it. Remember?
No, give him a full body outfit, the cape and the superhero costume with the material from Krypton covers all the tattoos.
Yeah, well, get away from the PG era with another superhero. But in Lucha Underground, remember, he was Prince Puma under a mask. And he looked really cool under a mask. And then they took the mask off.
And then there's that face.
I'm not saying that. See, that right there is an example of you not being nice.
Well, no, that's me. That's me being goddamn fair.
He's
Great
from Kentucky.
talent.
He's from Kentucky.
Oh, bullshit.
He's from Kentucky. What do you mean bullshit?
Where did he ricochet into Kentucky from?
Hold on. Rick O'Shea. That's Rickoshea. All right.
Shea? What are you saying?
Ricochet. Well, he was born in...
It's C-H-E-T.
I know. You missed the whole joke there, buddy. I believe... Well, it says here he was born in Illinois, Alton, Illinois, but...
See there? The home, by the way, of the world's tallest man in Guinness Book of World Records, Robert Wadlow, who was 8 feet 11 inches. Ricochet got shortchanged.
Hold on. I thought it said here... What does it say here? Paducah, Kentucky. He's been billed as being from 3 different places. Las Vegas, Nevada, Boyle Heights, California, and Paducah, Kentucky.
Well, that's because Paducah's the nearest major metropolitan area to Alton, Illinois. See, you didn't know that, did you?
No.
Well, and now you do. Now you know. So moving on, if the idea won't work anyway, fuck it. Just fuck Ricochet. Fire him.
Well, no, hey, come on.
Well, you said the idea wouldn't work. Too late, so let's fire him. Anyway, so then Logan Paul comes out in the arena. He's there live in the arena now. He's over here now. While Owens and Orton have run to the stadium to catch him, right? And he outsmarted him. And he gives another great heel promo, which most of the stuff is obviously his own material. And that's what I like about a lot of these heels now. They actually sound like the same person didn't come up with all their shit. And he says, and I've got eyes on a scene because right now my boys are over there kicking the shit out of these two. And where are they? And the screen Theory and Waller pop up, and a little bit too much overacting, but they can't find Orton or Owens. And then Logan Paul's in the ring and realizes, and then here comes Orton and Owens rolling out from under the ring, and they corner Logan Paul and stunner him and RKO him and leave him laying because the other two bumblefucks couldn't find the baby faces. Your thoughts, Brian?
I enjoy everything with Logan Paul. So I thought it was clever. It was good. It was a great way to incorporate, that it was live. There was a lot of things happening in the area. WrestleMania's there. Hot crowd. I liked it.
Yeah, well, I like the back and forth from building to building. And that was the kind of stuff that we used to do back in the day that was fun, that, didn't expose the business, except I wish that Theory and Waller were a little bit better at their acting rather than their overacting. But that's another Theory. What is he? He must have the goddamn most abrasive fucking person. He must be a real heat-seeking missile in the locker room. That they have taken that talent and just brought him back to be the flunky of Waller that's now the flunky of Logan Paul. He's a flunky's flunky.
I think he's someone that it'll work out maybe later, but very early on, they put him in all that stuff with Vince. They put him at Mania with Cena. It didn't, for whatever reason, it didn't take.
Because it was horrible shit.
And he didn't really impress much in the promos or anything. I mean, Cena called him out to his face about his promos.
Yeah.
And they never really got better from there. Waller seems like a natural prick. Maybe some of that will rub off on Theory. Maybe Theory will discover himself a little more right now. I don't think they're giving up on him.
It's just Waller looks so undigestible visually. The goofy outfit and the lack of physique and the goddamn nerdiness of the face and the annoyance in
you want to hit him.
Yeah, but you feel like if you did, you could do damage too at the same time. All right.
Someone told me he used to box, even though you wouldn't really know that from the way he's presented.
He did. He did. Apples, oranges. I'm telling you, he was the most productive employee in the fruit market.
Yes.
Yes, and then he moved over to the land of fruits and nuts.
All right, well, let's continue on with the fruits and nuts. I shouldn't say that. Let's continue on with WWE.
Well, same thing. That's what Pat Patterson, a lot of guys always used to say. The WWF is the land of fruits and nuts, and Vince McMahon is the head cashew. But anyway, in the back, I know, Brian, you'll find this hard to believe. The heel Luchas had beaten up the babyface Lucha, and the other babyface Luchas were upset about it. And then they went to the ring and had Zelina with the babyface Luchas against Carmen Electra with the heel Luchas. And Carmen won. And then the heels and Dominic, who's in this group for the sake of the match at WrestleMania, beat up the babyfaces until here came Andrade and saved the day. And I believe we've now set a record for most people involved in two factions in a goddamn rivalry. I think we're up to 13 now, counting all the ancillary characters.
You know, Suzanne is Colombian, and she's seen some of this on TV on Fridays when I have it on, and WrestleMania, of course. And she said, how come every Latino is in one feud? Every Latino in the company has been shoved into no matter where you're from, Cuba, Mexico, Venezuela, wherever you're from, you're in this feud.
Well, it's so at least they understand each other. If there's not a problem in the translations, everybody understands the insults. All righty, the 9 o'clock hour on SmackDown, it was a big one, Brian. Here came Bianca and Naomi in cowboy hats, cowskin dresses, cowboy boots, and it looked somehow like they were. Is this something fashionable now, or are they trying to be the Dixie Chicks? If they'd been in Nashville, I would have got this.
Well, you're very old and white. You have to remember this.
Yes.
Beyonce Knowles. Beyonce, as she is known now without the Knowles.
Oh, Beyonce.
She has the number 1 album, Cowboy Carter, and it's her country music album. So she's also dressing like she's a country
She's
music
a country
fan.
music. Yes.
That's right. Just wait until she discovers punk rock. Can't wait to see her with a mohawk. But that's why. It's a fashionable thing right now to be someone who's never listened to country music, who's embracing the fashions of country music.
Of country music?
I said country.
Well, here is another fan of the country music that came out then because they did the big, they stood there kind of in an awkward fashion, stagey toward the camera, recited back and forth some memorized material, and did a banter, somewhat acting like they were auditioning for the role of Florence on the Jeffersons. I don't know what that was about. And then they introduced Jade Cargill. But the WWE, Brian, has changed her name. Did you see this? They're now calling her Jade Cargill. So they've changed her name.
What are you trying to pull?
No, I'm just saying they've changed her name.
Her name's always been Jade Cargill. You're the only one who refused to call her Jade Cargill.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Are you saying you now accept her as Jade?
Well, now that they've changed her name.
What do you mean they've changed her name? How have they changed her name?
Because they did the blackout, they did the lighting effects, they did the big entrance with the overhead shots, the carefully managed camera angles. It was cinema. And they introduced her as Jade Cargill. See, that's all it took, was just a minor tweak of everything she was being presented as.
So for the wrestlers who don't like the nicknames you have for them, this is a way they can go about getting rid of the nickname?
Yes, they
lights
can just
go out, light show.
Yes, they can just go be stars. If they go be stars, then I'll change their names for them. And they've got the formula for Jade here. She did the same thing. She had an incredible entrance. She looks like a star. They figured out all these angles. She did a short recited interview without botching it up and said, "You are now in the eye of the storm." And that's all. And we'll get to night 1 of WrestleMania. It's going to be the same thing in the matches. They're going to lay until she's ready. They're going to lay it out so she's dominant. No mistakes are made. She's working with people that know what they're doing, allegedly, hopefully. And it's going to be strictly controlled to present her in the best light because, as they said a few months ago, they were dismayed at the lack of training she had had. But that's the thing, is that it wasn't just the lack of training, it was the lack of presentation. On AEW, she looked great, but she came out there with underneath girls as stooges and a preliminary manager that didn't really serve any purpose. And she would say, cut the shit to the announcer for what reason we haven't figured out. And she'd go out every few weeks and have a 7-minute match where she beat somebody. And she still stood out over there. But as we said, when she finished up, what the fuck was that? They never got anywhere. It never went anywhere. Here they've transformed her entrance and her presentation. They've given her more training. They're putting everything together with the thought to make her a star. They're interacting her with other main event players that can elevate her and presenting her as if she's a bigger deal than they are. The complete opposite of what was in the other place. And this is until or if or whatever, that she learns how to have matches from scratch on her own and get some experience, they will do this and they can draw money with her because she looks like $1 million and they're exploiting her strengths. She started late in the wrestling business, so she still needs to learn how to think about it. But, so far, there's no mistakes in this.
I have nothing to add.
Are you talking to me?
I have nothing to add.
And then came the match. Why that I thought they were finishing these two jabronis, Theory and Waller, up because they got beat by the New Crotch Republic. And they beat Waller. They usually beat Theory. This time they even beat Waller. And then the Judgment Day hit the ring and kicked the shit out of both teams and left them all laying. So I figured, well, they finally smartened up on Waller and they're firing Theory too because he got the stink on him. But apparently they're not. Too bad. Well, not too bad with Theory, but too bad with Waller. Did you like the LA Knight promo?
Yes. Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, I fucked that up. Yeah. You set it up on a silver platter and I dropped that platter.
We were playing T-ball there and you whiffed it. LA Knight came out and that's all they wanted to see. He came out, did his entrance, did the promo. The people loved everything. And then he left and it was, again, nothing new. One thing I'll mention in a second was new, but that's how he gets over. He comes out and does his thing and they like it and it's audience participation and now he's got to win the big ones more often than not for people to stay with him. And I think we said this a week or two ago. The reason why he got so over and it was perfect timing, boy, if he'd have waited another couple months, it may have been too late. He was the only one talking like a fucking wrestler on this program about 6 or 8 months ago. Now they got a bunch of them, but he slipped in there and got over by being the only one that sounded like a goddamn actual real fucking professional wrestler in his promos. But he owned this crowd and they loved everything he did. And he's cutting a promo on AJ, but at one point he's chewing the gum, right? Lawler's done it. I think Austin, I don't know how these guys fucking do it. Chewing the gum when they work or when they talk or whatever, but he's chewing his gum and he went to give emphasis to, and when I've kicked your ass, and he swallowed his fucking gum on live television. You saw the look on his face. He stopped, he recovered and covered it up and never even coughed. That was like a goddamn Harlem Globetrotter between the legs, behind the back dribble pass, wasn't it? Of promos.
Very talented guy.
I couldn't believe that. I can't imagine how he didn't bend over and fucking blow hemorrhoids at his ass choking over that. But right down the old goozle pipe it went, and he worked it into the promo. He asked the fans a question and let them fucking say yeah while he goddamn swallowed. Anyway. And then we got to our main event of the evening. And this is going to be a theme over the course of this podcast, but we don't need any of these brothers to wrestle each other anymore, do we? Jey Uso versus Solo. I think the brothers don't need to wrestle each other.
Specifically the Fatu brothers, just to make sure we're clear here.
Well, I said these brothers.
You said we don't need the brothers to wrestle each other anymore.
Well, no, Owen and Brett, if that was possible, they could wrestle each other. I'm not opposed to all brother matches. I'm saying these brothers, Jey Uso's Solo's brother, Jey Uso's, Jimmy Uso's, all these brothers need to quit wrestling each other, is what I'm saying to you. Is that unclear? What did I say?
Brother.
Jay was never a flawless technician to begin with, but the hot dogging and the slap punches are driving me. And I'm not talking about when he throws punch, slaps his arm. I'm talking about you're slapping a guy in the face, what's supposed to be a punch. It's an open hand. Every member of the family is doing the same thing and working the same way. And Solo has a little more because of his fearsomeness and street fighting. He's a little different, but Jay and Jimmy worked as a team, but not against each other. It's not a clash of styles. It's a mirror image of styles, and neither style, or both the same style with both guys, it's not a good one. They're good athletes. They're over as personalities. Their work is not convincing, and Jay and Solo was not convincing here. And it was stagey and herky-jerky, was it not? What'd you think of it?
Well, you have been pointing out for a while your issues with the way the Uso, specifically Jey Uso, works. So I've been paying attention to it. I've never really loved any of their matches. But this weekend specifically, I hated their matches so much. I mean, this is nothing. This is chump change. The WrestleMania match is one of the worst matches I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to see them wrestle each other anymore either.
Well, and I gotta say it. Well, here was the finish. Jay hit the splash. Jimmy came in, disqualification. Imagine that. Heat. Cody and Seth made the save, laid Jimmy out and whipped him like a dog. And then Cody cut a good go-home promo, rallying the troops and pretty much telling us he's going to beat Roman. And his off-the-air quote was, "When one good story ends, an even better one begins." But after I saw Jay and Jimmy and Solo in the ring so far this weekend, I'm at the level, again, WWE is now. And the money that's potentially there for any major personality. Jacob Fatu would be well worth a multi-million-dollar offer right now, much less no offer at all. And he ain't getting any younger. And they're in, unless the rest of the family hates this poor guy for reasons that I'm not been smartened up to. How the fuck do they not have that guy in this? But that was SmackDown. They layeth the smacketh downeth on these people.
It sucked. But the Hall of Fame, that was the kind of shit show that anyone could like.
Well, and I'll tell you what, now a lot of people there, the whole sellout crowd was there not only to see SmackDown, but also to see the Hall of Fame. But there was some time in betwixt and in between, Brian. You heard of it, where they gotta tear the ring ropes down and they gotta make the ring a stage and they gotta set up different seats. So a lot of people, the fans, they were just sitting there twiddling their little Johnson, waiting for this to take place when they could have been catching up on all the latest wrestling news by listening to our podcast or by listening to our YouTube or even by listening to one of our competitors on the Raycon wireless earbuds. Because they wouldn't have been just sitting there for Steven to listen to these deadgum commercial announcements that the WWE is throwing at them in the arena there while they're changing the set. They could have plugged in the Raycon everyday earbuds into their ears or the ears of their loved ones next to them. And they could have been listening to all the news from all the other outlaw mud shows that were going on around town, people trying to leech off the WrestleMania name. But see, they couldn't keep up with that because they were not able to listen because all of that was being drowned out by the commercial announcements and clattering that was going on in the arena. You got to have a pair of Raycon everyday earbuds in your pocket all the time, no matter what. Get several pair, multiple pair. You never know when you're going to have your other pants on. And the last thing you want to do is leave your earbuds in your other pants. Brian, that's happened to you many times, hasn't it?
It has not. No, it has not.
You've never left your buds in your other pants?
No, I always put my things, whatever it may be, my wallet, my sunglasses, whatever it may be, I always know exactly where I'm going to put it.
Your buds are always in your pants?
I always know where my bud is.
Well, I'll tell you what, with 8 hours of playtime and a 32-hour battery life, everybody will want to be your bud when they see your Raycon everyday earbuds, folks. And whether you want to put them in your own ears or hand them right over to your friend or neighbor so they can stick them right in their ear canals, whatever the case may be, you'll find that, and by the way, surveys have shown it's not possible for ear-to-ear transmission of a communicable illness. So you can pass these things around like you're at a Grateful Dead show. And folks, they've got 3 customizable sound profiles, the earbud tap functions, the noise isolation mode, and the awareness mode, which lifts you into a higher level of consciousness. And we can save you money. You want to know how, Brian? I'll tell you how. You go to buyraycon.com, BUYRAYCON.com/JCE, and you're going to get 20% off and free shipping. So 20% off of whatever you buy with these fine people, and free shipping as well. How many earbuds would it take to equal like 40 pounds? If you buy 40 pounds of earbuds, they'll still send them to you for free. And do you know how much money that would cost? I mean, they'd have to pay out their ass with UPS to send 40 pounds of earbuds to the goddamn Virgin Islands. But they'll do it. Oh, they'll do it. You buy them, they'll send them. 20% off and free shipping. buyraycon.com/JCE.
That's exactly what we would like to do, /JCE. But once again, Raycon.
Was that a threat of physical violence directed toward me? Do I need to fear for my life?
Is your name JCE?
Well, technically.
No, technically it's not. So technically I'm in the clear.
Well, if that
Stay
wasn't
up late, buddy.
if it wasn't a separate E, but if it was just like JC, like Ishii.
I don't know. I think you got something to worry about. But anyway, speaking of things to worry about, this is your show.